I don't know whose great idea this was, but it's 11 p.m. and I'm filming a video. So here we go. Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Fish and we're gonna be going through my June wrap up and also my July TBR. I didn't think I would want to make a separate video because very short list because I'm just freeballing it this month. So June was a hectic month, but also reading-wise, it was a really good reading month. So in June, I participated in 3 readathons. Only one of them that was like my top priority because, well, I participated in the Shelf Space Olympic readathon and I was a team captain. I was Team Artemis. I'm repping the earrings today because we were in 6th place. I'm happy with that. My team had a blast. I had a blast. Like, we were such a great team. Everyone was having fun, so supportive of each other, and it was a good time. And I'm so glad that those people were in my team because they were just so good. And most of them migrated to my Discord. If you don't know, I have a Discord, and we read a book each month. And the link will be in the description if you want to join. Come join us. We have a good time. So yeah, let's get into the stats for June. There's a lot of stats because I actually read 15 books in the month of June. I haven't read that much since last year. I think in April last year where I read 16 books. So I say this was a good reading month. So I'm not going to give you a star rating stats just because it's all over the place. Literally ranging from 5 stars to 3 stars, like everything in between because I'm doing quarter ratings. So literally everything has a rating. So I'm not doing the star stats because we'll be here all day. So I read 4,482 pages and how cool is that? At least for me. Like, I'm not saying that you have to read that many books in that, like, in a month to feel proud of yourself, but I pushed myself in the month of June, and I'm proud of the outcome. Genre-wise, I read 2 romances, 9 fantasies, 1 graphic novel, 2 sci-fis, and 1 contemporary. Age range-wise, there was 4 YA and 11 adult. Mode of reading-wise, I had 11 books from my physical TBR, which is great because I want to read more books on my physical TBR. 2 were from Kindle and 2 were from the library. So that's equivalent to 7 books and 8 ebooks. We're not going from lowest rated to highest rated. We're just gonna get into it because I like that from last month. First book I read in June was Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman, and I gave this 5 stars. I love this so much. It's my favorite volume out of the 4 volumes out so far. I actually have a reading vlog of me completing series, and this is in that vlog if you want to check it out. But just know this is my favorite one of the whole series, and there was a lot of discussion about mental health and how to approach someone having mental health issues. This book is about 2 characters, Nick and Charlie, and it's about their romance and their coming of age and how they deal with mental health and just everything that it has to do with high school. So yeah, this is a very wholesome series. I love it. I cannot wait for volume 5. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time reading this. Next book I read was The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the buddy read actually for my Discord. It's a channel buddy read, and we're reading the entire David Bad trilogy, and The City of Brass was May's pick, so I finished it just in the nick of time before the live show. And if you haven't seen the live show, it'll be up in the cards up here and also down below if you want to check that out. I had my lovely co-hosts Abby from the channel Abby Salter, Joanna from Joanna Souza, and Ali from Kisti Reads. All of us loved it. I gave this 4.75 stars. When I initially read it, there was just something not quite there for me to give it 5 stars, but I enjoyed this book so much. It's basically about this character Nari, who is a con woman. She basically does different cons on people so that they give her money. And one day she was performing this con and she accidentally summons a djinn, and this djinn takes her to the city of Daevabad because she has something going on with her because she had the ability to call down a jinn, so they take her to the city of Daevabad, and there's a whole heap of shit that goes down in Daevabad. This world is so whimsical, so magical, and there's so much just culture and politics. It's a Southeast Asian fantasy, and I am a Southeast Asian woman, so my culture and the lore and magic in this, I can see where it comes from, and it kind of reminds me of home. So this series means a lot to me. I will get to Kingdom of Copper in a little bit, but this book just missed something for me to give 5 stars, but I still really enjoyed this book so much. Oh, actually, I just figured it out why I didn't give it quite 5 stars. This book was very fast paced, and everyone knows me, I like a slow moving book, and it was still really good, but it was just something missing there, and that was it. It was just pretty fast paced for my taste. So yeah, if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. The next book I read is Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and J. Kristoff. This is the 3rd book to the Illuminae Files series, and this was also part of the Completing My Series vlog. I gave this book 4.25 stars. This was my favorite out of the Illuminae Files trilogy, just because a lot of the issues I had with the first 2 was the childish dialogue, but this one, yes, it had childish dialogue, but because it was majority adults in here, so it didn't quite have that much childish dialogue, so I was happy with this, and I was happy with the conclusion, and I listened to the audiobook while reading this. Highly recommend the audiobook. It has a full cast with sound effects and everything. It's so cool, and this is told in mixed media, so it kind of like matches the mixed media. Like there was a comic strip of events, and the audiobook made sound effects for the comic strip, like, you know, pow, wow. It was so cool. It was such a weird and cool experience. So I really enjoyed this. Glad I finished the series. Would definitely reread the series again just because of the audiobook. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. I forgot to say, I actually DNF'd one book this month, and that was Trist 6 Venom by Penelope Douglas. This is Penelope Douglas's new release, and I tried it. I did not like it because I discovered from reading this that I do not like bully romances. So I DNF'd it. But from what I've read, it was good. I couldn't deal with the whole bully thing. So I DNF'd it. Because I DNF'd it and I wanted a romance kick, I picked up Go Deep by Rilzy Adams, and oh my god, this was so good. It's only a novella. It's not like a full-length novel. I think it's about like 100-ish pages, and oh my god, this was everything. I gave this 4.5 stars. Like, I wanted more. That's why it's not 5 stars. Like, it was so good. The smut scenes were excellent, and the characters had so much chemistry even though it was such a short book. I really loved it. After that, I read the novella Deeper by Rilzy Adams, and it follows our characters after the first book, and it was so adorable, and I gave it 4.75 stars. I never thought I would love like a novella and its other novella, like novelette. I don't know what you call it. It's just so good. If you haven't read this, highly recommend. It's such a short read, full of smutty scenes, great chemistry between our 2 characters. Highly recommend. Next book I read was Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. This is the 2nd and the last book of the Strange the Dreamer duology, and I gave this 5 stars. This was excellent. And this book is a part of that reading vlog I just mentioned, Completing Series. This is in that vlog if you want to hear more of my thoughts. I basically was not vibing too much with the first half, but the second half was, oh my god, everything for me. Stranger Dreamer was good, but Muse of Nightmares was better just because it was slower and we were deep diving into characters and their emotions, and Laini Taylor explored anger and revenge so well. It was done really well, and Laini Taylor has beautiful writing. And Stranger Dreamer is basically following this guy Laszlo, who wants to visit the city of Weep, and he gets a chance to go to the city of Weep to solve a problem. And this city of Weep used to be ruled by the gods and the people in the city of Weep were slaves. And one day, a man, a human, called the God Slayer, slayed all the gods and its children. The city was liberated, but because the gods were killed, one of the gods took away the name of the city, and no one remembers its name. Now it's just called the City of Weep, and it's just such a beautiful story. So, highly recommend the series if you haven't read it. It's only 2 books, like, it's not that long. It's like 500-ish pages. It's not that long. Highly recommend the series for sure. Next book I read was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I gave this 3 stars. It was kind of a disappointment, to be honest, because everyone was raving about this book, and it was okay. Look, this is a sci-fi thriller, and it's about this guy, Jason, where he has his whole life, you know? He has a wife, he has a child, and he gets abducted somewhere and he gets knocked out. And when he wakes up, he doesn't know where he is, and his life is not his life anymore. He doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have a kid, and he has to figure out what's happening. That's essentially all I can tell you, not to spoil anything. And because of that, I expected more from this because it's marketed as a sci-fi thriller. And I expected, you know, to be thrilled or shocked or something. And I literally guessed everything that was in here, and I didn't like a certain thing that was done in this book. I wasn't a big fan of it. Like, it was my personal preference. I wasn't a big fan. I know other people like it. That's fine. I didn't. And Jason is such a dumb motherfucker. Like, he's so dumb. However, the ending of the book was very, very sweet and very well done. That's it. I just thought it was an okay book. I know people prefer Recursion. Like, if people didn't like Dark Matter, Recursion is better. I will give Recursion a try. But, yeah. I was just meh about it. Meh. Next up was The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the 2nd book in the David Bond trilogy. And, oh my god, this is 5 stars. And, spoiler alert, my favorite book of the year so far. This is like contender with Jade War. Like, contender with Jade War. And you know how much I love Jade War. This is so good. Like, that thing missing in City of Brass, it was in here, and I was in love with this. I am in love with the world. I'm in love with the characters. I'm in love with the magic system. Everything about this book, this series, is very comforting to me, and I just want to be with it forever. And I don't really... Well, apart from the ACOTAR series, I never really had that feeling with another series other than the ACOTAR series. But ACOTAR means a lot to me personally. But with this, it just means a lot to me because I relate to it. Not relate to it, like just the culture and everything. It feels like home to me. And it's so magical and it's so whimsical. And I love it. I love it so much. I cannot wait to get to the 3rd book. We discussed this as well on my channel with the Liveshow. If you want to check it out, it'll be up in the cards and down below for you to check out with the same co-host. I have a lot of tabs. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see the tabs. I have a lot of tabs. 5 fucking stars. So good. Next up is Sea Glass by Mariah v. Snyder. Still going on ahead with the Mariah v. Snyder Poison Study series reread with my good friend Abby and Sam. We're on to the 2nd book of the Glass series, and I gave this 4.5 stars. Oh, really? And I gave this 4.5 stars. It was really, really good, at least compared to the 1st book, because the 1st book was just all over the place, and with Sea Glass, I think the beginning was kind of all over the place, and then it gradually got like normal. And Opal really found herself in this 2nd book, and I loved watching her journey with that. I don't really know how to give a synopsis for the Glass series. It's a series following Opal, who was in the 1st trilogy of the Poison Study, and we're following her and her growth in the story and the continuation of, I guess, where we left off in Fire Study. It's not as good as the 1st trilogy, the Poison Study trilogy, but I love Opal as a character, so I am okay with reading this trilogy. I just want to get back into Yelena's head, you know? So I gave this 4.5 stars. It was good. Great reread. The next 4 books I'm going to talk about is the Charlie Travesty series. I read the first 4 books which is Whisper in the Dark, A Light in the Dusk, Memory in the Flame, and A Sacrifice in the Smoke, all by Jesse Elliott and KJ Sutton. So they kind of wrote this and published it, I think, 3 weeks at a time, and these 4 make up the first book, if you know what I mean. So the first book, A Whisper in the Dark, I gave 3.5 stars. The second book, A Light in the Dusk, I gave 3.75. The third book, I gave 4 stars. And then the last book, I gave 4.25 stars. Overall, I give it a 4.25 stars. I really, really liked it. We're basically following Charlie, who is a vampire, and she has to go through this awakening process. And this process is basically when a vampire reach at a certain age where they get to find out what eye color they have. And each eye color corresponds to which part of the city they go to and which kind of job that they have, sort of. So let's say if you have like blue eyes, you go to the scientific district and you learn like science stuff. If you have green eyes, you do arts and stuff. And if you have lavender eyes, like if a vampire, once they go through the awakening process, they have lavender eyes, that means that they're half vampire, half human, and they're kind of shunned. Like they're below humans, and humans are slaves in this world. Vampires are the rulers of the city. So Charlie has to go through this awakening process and stuff, and it's not good for her. So we're basically following her journey throughout this first 4 novels, and I really, really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would, but the politics in this, there's action, fast pace, and there's a bit of romance, you know, and it's really, really good. I highly recommend this series if you haven't tried it out. The 5th book, A Song in the Night, just came out a couple of days ago, so I really want to read that. Hopefully I can get to it soon, because the 4th book ended in a massive cliffhanger. Sorry if the angle changed, my battery died, so let's just move on. The next book I read was Not Hungry by Karis Quinn, I think that's how you say it. And this was a random pick because I needed to fill a prompt, and this was the only one that I could use. And this book is told in verse, and it deals with eating disorder. So trigger warnings for that. If you're sensitive to it, I suggest not reading this. And I am not a person that gets triggered by anything, really. And it was hard to read, this one. A lot of things that I can relate to. So I was uncomfortable in certain bits. But I overall enjoyed it. I gave it 3.25 stars. Because it was told in verse, it was kind of short. I would like a... Well, see, here's the thing. I'm conflicted. I like the way that was told. It was good, the way it was told. But then also I feel like maybe it should be an actual novel. So I'm a bit conflicted with that. I know it's weird, but I'm a bit conflicted. But for what it was pretty good. And I like the topic that was discussed. It was handled well. And I don't want to say enjoyed because it's a dark topic. I'm not going to say enjoyed. I appreciated it. And the last book I read in the month of June was A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett Sinclair. And this is a famous Hades and Persephone retelling. I know a lot of people have read this. This is a fantasy romance. I'm pretty sure it's self-published. A lot of these books are actually self-published. Like the Charlie Travesty series are all self-published. This one is self-published. I'm pretty happy with the amount of self-published books I read this month. Oh, sorry, last month. And I really enjoyed this. I haven't read much Hades and Persephone retellings, and so far this is my favorite, I think. So I gave this 4 stars. It's not a perfect book. I had like minor issues with it, but the romance overall was really, really good, and the smut obviously is very, very good, but sometimes really random. You know, sometimes like we're talking about something serious and it's smut. So I wasn't a big fan of that, but it was good for what it was. And I know it's a series, but I don't think I'll be continuing with it just because of how the first book ended. I'm happy with that. I don't really want more, so I'm not going to be continuing this series, which is great because I have a lot of series to get to. So yes, those are the 15 books that I read this month. I'm sorry it was very speedy. I hate filming wrap-ups because I take so long and I ramble, so I'm trying to speed through it so I don't take so long. Now let's get to my July TBR. It's kind of just like whatever. So my priority so far is Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the July pick for my channel buddy read, and it's gonna be the same co-hosts, and I'm so excited. All of them have read it. I think it's just me and Joanna that haven't read it yet, and I am so excited. It is the biggest one among the three, and I'm kind of sad but also happy, you know, that I am completing a series, but also sad that it's ending. I don't really want it to end. I hope that S.A. Chakraborty writes a little bit more about this world, but also I'm that kind of person where it's like, just leave it as it is, you know? So I'm very, very excited to get to this. Our live show for this is probably going to be in the beginning of August, so I have plenty of time to get to this. Next one is our buddy read of Spyglass, which is the third book in the Glass trilogy. I have already read this, actually. I finished it, I think, 2 days ago, and I really liked it. But we'll talk about it more in my wrap-up. I like this the best in the trilogy, so. And because I read so much in June, I was kind of overwhelmed of what to read next because I'm in such a good reading mood. Like I want to read, but there's just so many things I want to read. So I asked my boyfriend to come in here and pick a book for me to read. And I said, you can't pick any classics, no nonfiction, and absolutely no Way of Kings. So when I said no Way of Kings, he just thought, oh, Brandon Sanderson. So he picked Skyward for me by Brandon Sanderson. I am only 72 pages when I'm filming this, and I have that 5-star feeling for this, and I just love this. I don't know why, I just have that feeling. I'm only 70 pages in, like, how? So I hope that feeling continues on for the rest of the book, so we'll see. And if I really, really enjoyed it, I will continue on to Starside. Because why not? You know, we're here to complete series, people. I used to be a series binger before I got onto BookTube. And I know the third book, Cytonic, is coming out in November. So, what a good time to read it. And then lastly, maybe the Serpent and Dove and Blood and Honey books, because the third book, God and Monsters, is coming out this month, I think in July, and me and Abby were discussing rereading Serpent and Dove, reading Blood and Honey for the first time, and then finishing it off with God and Monsters. So we'll see if that happens, but that's the plan. We'll see. And that's literally it. I am just whatevering it this month, so we'll see what happens. You'll see in my July wrap-up. I apologize if there's no concrete, you know, books I'm reading, but obviously you can count on me reading Empire of Gold for sure. So yeah, that is it. Let me know how your June month went, how your reading went. If you participated in the readathon, did you enjoy? And what was your favorite book of the month? What was your disappointment of the month? Did you read any of these books that I mentioned? Do you agree with me on Dark Matter? Because I know a lot of people in the Shelf Space chat for Dark Matter, because that was the pick for last month, did not enjoy it. So let me know if you're one of those people or you actually did enjoy it. Let me know. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.